All right, y'all. It is time to shine. It is time to shine. We are back yet again for another very special episode of the Run the Jewelz podcast show and vidcast series. I'm your host, Julian Smartrimple. Jules here, locked and loaded, ready for another episode for this new season that is upon us, you all. We've been diving in to a lot of subjects and a lot of enhancements this season. And so if this is your first time joining us as one of our Smart Jewel listeners, the RTJ Lifestyle Show was created to spread inspiration to young professionals and millennial entrepreneurs who want to learn wisdom on how to shine brighter in their careers or their businesses. And so if you are an entrepreneur, if you are a young professional, and especially if you're trying to learn and build in your career, you are in the right place to be. Shout out to all of our wisdom listeners who are tracking with us on the Wisdom app and even here on Twitter Spaces, getting exclusive behind the scenes access to my very special guests as we go live with our pre-recorded episode today. And you can listen to the RTJ Run the Jewelz Show on Wisdom, on Twitter Spaces, and also on any podcast platform that you listen to your favorite podcast or music artist streaming. If you are interested in being a guest this season, we only take the boldest and the brightest kings and queens that are not afraid to share their testimony or share their message with our audience. And so if you're interested, you can click the link that we're putting in the comment section below in order to have our team look through your information to see if you have what it takes as an entrepreneur or a young professional to drop the jewels with us this season. And we appreciate all of our shining VIP jewels who have been with us already for this new season, and we could not have made this show a success without you. Last but not least, if you have any questions, wisdom listeners or Twitter Space listeners, for our VIP special guest today, you can either list them in the comment section or you can come on to the stage on Wisdom or on Twitter Spaces, and our guest will do their best to answer any pertinent questions that you have to the subject matter at hand. And so without further ado, those are all of my housekeeping. We're going to get ready to step into the episode for today, you all. I met this dynamic queen at one of my mentors' establishments here in Atlanta. She is an author, she is an entrepreneur, and most importantly, she's even a veteran, a service member, and also a mother, I forgot to add too. And so shout out to all of the veterans and all of the service members. We celebrate you throughout the year. But she was literally hosting her own literally book signing and book club that she builds communities of authors and writers and content creators in order to come together and basically find their voice and to find their purpose. And so we literally met at the establishment, the Coffee Loft ATL, which is owned by Mr. Alex, in the Peter Street, Castleberry area. And I told her I had to have her come on the show to drop the jewels of wisdom on all of her subject matter when it comes to transformation and specifically self-transformation. And so without further ado, today's episode is titled, let me see. Today's episode we have is titled The Discovery of the World's Greatest Problem. And we're going to be talking about the discovery of the world's greatest problem with my very special VIP guest, Princella The Queen Maker. Let's bring her onto the stage so you can meet her. How you doing, Princella, today?
I'm fantastic, Julian. Thank you so much for having me, brother.
Yes, we appreciate you coming on, Queen, and getting ready to share the jewels with us today. What we usually start off our interviews with, Princella, tell us about yourself. Tell us where you were originally born, where you currently reside right now, and then why is this an important subject to discuss with our audience today?
Okay. Well, I currently reside in Houston, Texas, but I'm originally from Shreveport, Louisiana, and I have a extensive background. And a lot of people, if you hear my background, you might say that I'm a jack of all trades, right? And when you hear the jack of all trades, you also hear a master of none, right? A jack of all trades, but a master of none. And so that means that you're not effective in areas. But in my case, that's not the truth because I have an overall picture of the world, right? Because of my extensive knowledge base and experiences. So, one of some of the things that I've done, I am ex-military. I spent 8 years in the Army, and I got commissioned as an officer in the military. I went to school for cell and molecular biology. I did not graduate, but I'm only 18 hours as of right now. I'm only 18 hours away from getting a biological degree, bachelor's in cell and molecular biology. Um, so amongst that core curriculum was um, cell biology, molecular biology, obviously, organic chemistry 1 and 2, physics 1 and 2, inorganic chemistry, biostatistics, genetics, botany. I've taken all of those courses and I took the labs to go with them. So that gives me an analytical perspective on the world and nature and human behavior. Not only that, I was a top salesperson in the field of sales for over 15 years. I've sold everything from cell phones to gift cards to cars and even real estate. Okay, so I also flipped contracts in the real estate market. Not only have I done that, I'm a certified project manager as well. So I have a PMP, and I play music. So I play the piano. I also play the drums. I read music. I'm not a professional at it, but I have a basic understanding of the dynamics of music. I also taught myself how to do digital animation and photography. So I have a an extensive background on just different fields. But in terms of human relations, because of my sales experience and the experiences of everyday life, I have developed even another layer of wisdom that many people don't have. And I'm only 36 years old. Okay. So that is my background. And the reason why I do what I do today is because the world is suffering a great problem. And a lot of people would take this that their purpose is to gain as much money and be successful in business and things like that. But the greatest purpose is to advance humanity, is to advance human consciousness. And I see that the world is suffering from great calamities due to the lack or of human consciousness. And we are here to raise the consciousness of the planet because many people are suffering, and I have figured out why.
I love it. I love it. Shout out to all of those who are tracking with us that are trying to bridge the gap and especially increase their level of knowledge and raise the consciousness. As Princella just pointed out, we are here with my very special guest, Princella the Queen Maker, for the discovery of the world's greatest problem is the title of today's episode. Again, wisdom listeners, Twitter space listeners, if you have any questions for Princella at any time of our live Q&A, feel free to come onto the stage and ask at any point of today's interview. But Princella, I definitely remember when we were chatting at the end of your event, us discussing briefly on this topic. And so, like, I'm gonna go ahead. I know you are a teacher at heart, especially. Like, talk to us. Like, how did you even get into? Let's start from the beginning. How did you even get into wanting to use your voice to be an author and also even to be a writer? And then, like, how were you inspired to write? Like, who inspired you to write and share your voice earlier on in life?
Well, that's an interesting question. See, I came on the planet with this. Like, I honestly don't even believe I'm from planet Earth, to be honest with you. But I came here with these gifts. So we can go back all the way until when I was a child because I'm an artist as well. I draw. I'm a very good pencil artist. Okay. And so it started there. And I used to write, small poems. But when Little Bow Wow came out, because I got picked on, I got bullied a lot growing up. And I didn't grow up in a household that supported me. Okay. And because I didn't grow up in a household that supported me, I felt ostracized. Okay. And due to the ostracization, okay, um, it was difficult for me to be accepted just for existing. So I found different ways to assuage some of the negative feelings that I was experiencing growing up in that environment. So when Lil Bow Wow came out, I started to get inspired to be a rapper. Okay. And I became a rapper. And that's how I started to write. So I actually recorded 2 CDs on top of all this other stuff that I've done, right? Okay. So I recorded 2 CDs and I really got inspired to rap. I also was a part of a dance group. I do the little pop locking thing, right? So I was part of that. So it was all about self-expression. And then I came across someone who opened my mind a little bit more to like religion and things like that. And I always had this desire to help people. I knew that the family that I grew up in and the circumstances around that was not normal. That's not how the way things are supposed to be. So I knew I wanted to break generational curses. It was something I just knew that at an early age. And I knew that I wanted to help people, but I didn't know exactly how I was going to help people. So I had this desire to be a doctor. I used to watch Doogie Howser, MD, when I was a kid. And I just thought that the way that I was going to help people was through a medical career, right? I knew I wanted to be a doctor. And so that was kind of the urge for me to want to get out there, but I was naturally gifted. I have a natural gift of human psychology and human behavior, but I didn't pursue a degree or field in psychology because that's not a popular field. It's not a money-making field. And I felt that people didn't value a PhD over an MD. So I decided that I was going to go into the most difficult field, right? Which was the medical field, because I had a lot of people telling me and my family that I wasn't going to amount to anything. So I chose the most difficult field to study in, even though I had a natural gift at psychology and human behavior. I've always written papers, right, for money. I used to write research papers for money, right? And it was so easy for me to do. And I would always get A's without even trying in psychology. But with biology, and I had to put in a little bit of extra work, actually more work than I had to put in psychology, because psychology was just so easy. I had to put a little bit of work into biology. But it was the wisdom that I was gaining, right, that just made me want to help people because I'm empathetic. So because of that, it just kind of just a natural flow for me to share all of the stuff that I learned. If that
It's
makes
all
sense.
about it's all no, that's perfect right there, Princella. It's all about, like you said, learning our gifts at an early age so that we don't waste time with our youth, especially as you and I both know, being in that millennial age bracket, we don't have time to be wasting our talents or our gifts, or even wasting not walking in our purpose. And we're gonna come back to that last point that you made before we segue into the world's greatest problem, key point that we're going to be touching on today. We just want to highlight our special VIP sponsor for today's episode. If this is your first time listening or rocking with us, each and every episode we highlight a VIP sponsor with a brand or a service or a product, a local entrepreneur or a local business. And so take a look and see who our VIP sponsor is for today, you all. Let's take a look and see who our VIP sponsor is for today. So again, shout out to our VIP sponsor for today, which comes from none other than Herb and Eden. Herb and Eden is a Black-owned wellness and also organic company that is based here in Douglasville, Georgia. And we and our team support Urban Eden for their wellness soaps, oils, scrubs, and a plethora of other wellness products. They even have natural organic deodorants, all the way to facial scrubs, facial washes. And so you can receive an exclusive 15% off discount today. They do online orders all throughout the US, and I even believe internationally now they've migrated their shipping to. And so go out and support Herb and Eden. We swear off of their products, especially by those that want to make sure their face is looking right and they are taking care of their skin and also of their temple, their body. And so shout out to our VIP sponsor for today, Herb and Eden. And so back to you, Princella. We just wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor for today's episode. But talk to us about Queen. Like how did you feel with having people may not give you the respect early on in life when you were finding your purpose and finding your talents? Like, did you receive any opposition earlier on in life when you were making a decision to walk in those talents or walk in that purpose? Like, how was the opposition for you?
Oh, I walked through this life alone. I didn't have any support, not from family. Not, I didn't really have any friends. I got picked on and bullied in school. I really walked a lonely road, and I had a lot of insecurities growing up because I felt like I didn't fit in anywhere. Right, I wasn't accepted by people. I wasn't like anybody else, and there were times in my life where I just wanted to end my life. Right, um, and so this road was not easy, and a lot of times people look at the finished product of a person and they don't understand that a lot of these people walked a lonely road. Typically, success is not supported by other people because nobody understands you the way that you do. And so when you go through life, you go through a life of learning who you are, because once you incarnate on this planet, there's a somewhat of a memory loss. It's a memory loss, and you have to start to remember who you are, and life circumstances cause you to start to remember if you are in tune with why you're here. So this road was not easy. I didn't have a lot of support at all. Right. So no matter what I did, no matter how much I did, I still was not valued by other people. And so when you look outside of yourself for validation from people who actually may be envious and jealous of you for all the value that you possess that you're not aware that you possess, if you leave your ideas and your validation up to them, those people will do everything in their power to make sure that they sabotage you. And that's what I experienced growing up.
Yeah, that's a major jewel right there for those that are listening, especially if you grew up facing a lot of opposition when you were the talented one, or you were the chosen one, even as I like to say, and were walking in your gifts and talents while others were still figuring it out. They may have been hating on you, or they may have been literally opposing your purpose, just like Princella said. And so I know that leads us into the importance of seeing through the mission and seeing through your purpose, Princella, and going into the subject of the discovery of the world's greatest problem. Like, teach people on how did you come to this realization. I know we were talking on it and definitely having a great chat after your event, but talk to us about how did you come into discovering that this was the world's greatest problem.
Well, I haven't even told you what the world's greatest problem is yet. And what I'm about to say is very triggering and very controversial. And a lot of people are not going to like it. Right. And the reason they're not going to like it is because the person that's speaking it is a woman. I'm in a female vessel. Right. So the things that I'm going to say are not going to be well received. And I don't care if they're not well received, because it's the truth. We live in a patriarchal society, which means that it's male dominated. All the philosophies are male dominated. And what I have discovered through my life, I done told y'all all that other stuff that I experienced. But what is the basis? What is the real foundation of my wisdom? As a woman, I know men better than they know themselves. I know everything that there is to know about a man. And very few women can say that. Now, when men hear me say that, they ain't gonna like that. Oh, ain't no way she know about a man. She ain't in a man body, right? The greatest, and there is a purpose. Men and women are different, completely different. They're not the same. And men and women have been disillusioned to believe that they're equal to men when they are not. And the only reason that they believe that they are equal to men or they're trying to push for equality, which is something that I have never pushed. I do not believe in equality. I believe in equity, but I do not believe in equality. The reason why the woman believes that she's equal to the man is because she's under the perception that she has been behind the man. And the reason that she's under that perception is due to patriarchy stripping her rights away and having her fight to prove that she's human. Because all of the jobs were given to men and women were largely kept out of it. All of the political positions are overwhelmingly held by men and women were largely kept out of it. There are philosophies put into the atmosphere that men are more logical and women can't do what men can do. So on the surface, everyone believes that women are behind, specifically women. They believe that they're behind men. So they, from their perspective, they're coming from behind to catch up to men, to prove that I can do this, I can do this. But from the male perspective, because he knows what drives his nature, he knows that he's chasing and pursuing women, and he knows that there's a superiority, there's a spiritual and a biological superiority of women. From his perspective, she's moving backwards, but from her perspective, she's moving forward. So the world is confused about where they stand, and that is all because of patriarchal philosophy. Patriarchal philosophy is ingrained in religion. Abrahamic religions are rooted in patriarchal philosophy that they've poisoned the world with, right? So women do not know the nature of men, and the male does not know his purpose on the planet. He don't know who he is on the planet. I know both of these things. I know who the man is on the planet. I know what he was created to be and why he's having the greatest issues in this world. I know why women are confused and not know who they are and why they are acting out of character. And I know why patriarchal philosophy was even implemented to begin with, right? And I learned all this because I grew up as a tomboy. So the majority of my interactions have been male dominated. I may have only had 4 female friends my entire life. And the majority of my friendships were male. The majority of my work experiences were in male dominated industries. I had to compete with men in the car industry, people who have been selling cars for 30 years. As a woman, I'm coming in to compete with them. That's a dog eat dog world. So I have lived a male experience because I've lived on the streets where I didn't have no help. When I was growing up, I wasn't the pick of the litter. Boys wasn't chasing me, right? I have lived the male experience. And I know what self-discipline does. And I know that the problem of this world is the fact that it's overpopulated with males who have no purpose. And they lack in self-discipline. And the fire in them has been put out because the government gave them rewards that they did not earn.
That's real right there. Princella dropping those jewels on us already. We're not even fully at the end of the episode today, you all. I know we had some wisdom participants that were trying to come on, wisdom listeners or Twitter space. If you have any questions or any comments, review where you can ask any live Q&A questions or even any comments. And so if you want to come back into the queue, feel free to come onto the stage, wisdom listeners. But stay with that point right there too, Princella. I know we talked Princella, can you hear me? We got kicked out. You were dropping so many jewels. They done kicked us out of the interview. But I was just getting to the point of saying, like, stay with that point. Like, why do you feel a lot of men are walking aimlessly through life, and even that they are not wanting to take responsibility or accountability for not walking in purpose versus making an excuse to walk aimlessly through life? Like, what are your personal thoughts on that?
Oh, it's real simple, right? Because the definition of philosophy is a theory or attitude held by a person or organization that acts as the guiding principle for behavior. So people behave in ways based on the philosophies that they hold. This is the program. Well, the greatest woe to the man. See, the male will never realize that patriarchy is his problem. And the reason why they will never realize that patriarchy is the problem, because patriarchy did something that was smooth and cold-blooded. And what they did was stroke the male ego. The male is naturally born with a weak self-identity, which is AKA the ego. And so through patriarchal philosophies that they have injected into religions, told the male that he was created in the image of God, right? He believes that he is God on the planet, which means that he believes that he is entitled to rewards for existing. Okay. And so through patriarchal philosophy, anytime you have to anytime you have to teach, coach, train, brainwash, socially engineer, or cultivate somebody to do something, that means you're doing something that is anti-natural. You only need laws and law enforcement to control a person's nature, to go against their nature. So patriarchy implemented laws, law enforcement, religious philosophy to strip women of their rights to be free. And they took all of the power and shifted it into the hands of the male, right? So women couldn't do anything without a male, which made men believe that they were entitled to these rewards. When you go in and you look at the biology or the psychology, you go look at an MRI, the stratum in the brain is the place that registers reward. And dopamine is critical for reward-seeking behavior. Sex is a reward or processed as a reward in the male brain. Family is a reward. All of these things that men acquire in this life are rewards. And patriarchy stripped men of their nature for competition and earning these rewards and gave it to them. They took the rights of women away and gave men women that they did not earn. Because under natural circumstances, the majority of males would not have access to women. Polygyny was a practice among women. Polygyny is not a patriarchal philosophy. It is a matriarchal philosophy. And men had to earn access to women. He had to earn a family. He had to earn the reward of passing his genes along. But patriarchal philosophy created monogamy and outlawed polygyny, which means that they destroyed the community of women and gave every man a woman. And under this, by giving men women and giving them jobs that they didn't earn, right? Gave them jobs, gave them money, and gave them women and family as a responsibility, because the male does not have a natural selection of responsibility or purpose. So the powers that be gave the man responsibility, which means he gave him a woman and family and told him your job is to provide and protect, which are two aspects of feminine nature. Provision and protection is a female quality, not a masculine quality. Masculine energy conquers. It does not provide and protect. So they took that from the woman and gave the male that responsibility. Well, when he gave the male the responsibility, the male's desire, his ultimate purpose is to pass his genes along. So what happened? These males started knocking up women back to back to back with children, which was the beginning of overpopulation. And because patriarchal philosophy is rooted in telling men and women that the male is the prize and the male is in the image of God and woman is secondary. In China and India, because of this poisonous program, women were aborting female babies. And they overpopulated the world with more males than necessary when the nature of a male is to roach up on women. The nature of a male is lazy, and he will not do anything without being given a purpose. But the reason why they populated the country or the world with males is for wars, to put these guys to use that masculine energy and that aggression for wars, for agriculture. But as we move into the technological age, there is less need for the male's aggression. So he's not needed as much as he was back then before technology age. So now you have an overabundance of males on the planet with no purpose. And an idle mind is a devil's workshop. And herein lies the reason for violence, crime, sex trafficking, because that energy got to go somewhere. It's got to go somewhere. And males think that they're entitled because their egos were stroked. And now they're taking that aggression because they believe it's their divine right to put women in their place. So they think it's okay to be violent towards women, to unalive women. And you hear it with rhetoric like, what's his name? Andrew Tate. It just came out that Charleston White was promoting rape and violence towards women. And men are listening to this because the nature of a male is aggressive and violent. And the only thing that's containing the male is religious philosophy and law enforcement. When you remove these two artificial controls of human nature, you allow human nature to exist in its ungoverned and uncultivated form. And men do not need any training, coaching to be violent or aggressive. All they need is the permission. So the greatest issue in this world is people, one, believing that God is a man, and two, continuing to allow the male who has no governor on his behavior to be out front. The artificial controls have been removed by the top 1%. And people are now going back to their nature. So for men who have no self-discipline, who have no vision, and who have no purpose, they are idle minds that have become a devil's workshop. And the government is not forcing you to believe in Jesus no more. So those religious controls are being moved as we are now in the new age. So religion has broken down. Law and law enforcement has broken down. And now you have free access to information that you didn't have in the past. And people are coming unraveled.
I told y'all Princella was going to be teaching today, y'all. We talk about a ton of controversial topics on the RTJ show. And so Princella is out here teaching. She's dropping a ton of jewels on literally the importance of knowing the problems and also knowing what solutions that they can compensate to the problems that we see in society today. Whether you are a king or whether you are a queen, you need to go and listen to this episode, share this episode with your family, with your friend circles, even with your spouses for those who are married, because we were diving deep today to talk about the discovery of the world's greatest problem, you all. I know, Princella, we're right at time due to some technology glitches that we had in the Matrix. You were dropping so many jewels. They tried to bring the agents out to shut the live stream down, but we always allow our guests to leave a VIP final jewel for our audience. Basically, in symbolizing, we talked about a ton of information. We talked about your upbringing and finding your purpose early on in life, and how people were literally opposing you walking and also operating in your purpose. We talked about how you literally were able to identify with men by literally being in the same not mindset, but in the same environment with a lot of men early on in life. And so, talk to us about what would be a final jewel of wisdom, Princella, that you would want to leave for our audience today.
That when you live this life, you have to find your individual path. Nobody else matters. But the only way that you're going to be able to add value to this world is you have to find a purpose. And you have to walk in that purpose knowing unequivocally that you're going to be alone when you do it, because the creator gave you the vision for your journey, your path, and ain't nobody else supposed to see it. So stop listening to people tell you who you are on planet Earth. Be in this world, but not of it.
That's a jewel in itself right there. Be in the world, but not of it, Queen. That's an excellent jewel. I know we definitely got to have you come back for a part two, because like we said, they were hating on your wisdom that you were dropping, Queen. Even kicked us out, myself and our team, out of the platform, but we still persevered. But how can people stay in touch with you, Princella? We want to make sure people can track with you, follow you, and even solicit your services, because I know you're a businesswoman now, especially. Like, tell us how can people support you and how can they follow you after today's episode?
Okay. Well, you can follow me at the High Power Podcast on YouTube, and you can also at me at the Queen Maker. You can go to my website, the PrincellaTheQueenMaker.com. Okay. And I have a workshop coming up, because I teach women that men are incapable of love, and I teach you what love is. I have a book that I've written called The 5 Components of Love. And my next workshop is December 10th. And you can sign up for that workshop at PrincellaTheQueenMaker.com. You can find me at TikTok, Princella the Queen Maker, and I am Princella _ on IG.
I love it. And we got all the handles on the screen for those that are watching us with the live episode premiere, where you can stay in touch with Princella the Queen Maker. She's definitely doing some powerful things in the community. And I even was able to take part in seeing one of her events. She's very much so here in the community of Atlanta. And so definitely track with her and support her in her mission, and also in her business, her entrepreneur business. And so, Princella, we're going to say a quick blessing, a quick prayer over you to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to share your jewels of wisdom with us today. But before we do that, if you've been blessed by today's episode with Princella the Queen Maker, feel free to sow a seed. We always believe in sowing seed into good soil where you're able to sow, therefore you shall reap. And this is great international soil that you are watching, listening, and even receiving from today. And so there's 3 ways to give. You can sow a seed by cash apping us at $SMART, SMART, JEWELZ, or you can click the link that we're putting in the comment section below to become a monthly Patreon with us, to support us with our episodes and also our international travels. And even you can purchase some merch. We just opened up Smart Jewels collection last season, and so you can look at our collection for our merchandise that we just launched last season to support us on this international journey. But Princella, I'm going to say a quick prayer over you, Queen, and then let you enjoy the rest of your day, if that's okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Father, I just want to thank you for Princella. I thank you for what you are doing also in and also through her. I thank you for the calling that is on her life, and also what you have called her to sharpen the queens, and also to even build up the men, and also hold the men and the kings accountable for what you have called us to do. We thank you for her voice and her finding her voice early in life, and also using it to help set other captives free, and to help even launch other people's businesses, launch other people's missions and their purpose. And we also thank you for what she's doing even in her family right now, to show others that there is a way to follow, and also to lead in your purpose, and also in the vision that you have given all of us to accomplish while we're here. And so we thank you for her ministry. We thank you for her mission. We pray that you will bless her with new partnerships, new opportunities, and also even new clients just from sharing her voice and sharing her jewels for today's episode, and even future collaborations that will surpass any of the goals or any of the financial increases from last year going into next year. We love you, Abba. I praise you, and I give you all the glory and honor. And it's in Yahshua HaMashiach, the Christ, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
We appreciate you. Amen. We appreciate you, Queen, for taking time to drop these jewels with us. We know we're going to have to bring you back and even partner with you in some capacity in the near future. But thank you again. Y'all go and make sure you follow Princella the Queen Maker on all of the handles that you see on the screen. And I know we'll be in touch, Queen, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Julian.
All right, peace.
Peace.
All right, y'all. I'm going to do a quick wrap up for today's episode. You heard some jewels literally out of the mouth of Queen Princella, the Queen Maker, you all. She was literally telling us her story. She talked to us about why it's important to find your purpose early in your youth, or early in your youthhood, as I like to even say. And so a lot of folks, they're searching for purpose in their 40s and 50s, you all, when they had years, decades to walk and also search and to find their purpose in their 20s and 30s, or even in their teens. And so you have to be able to know that you're on a clock. And so some of us may be playing with the clock, which is the time, the lifespan that Yah has given us, while others are actually getting to being disciplined, getting to not making excuses, getting to being held accountable, healing, and even making sure that they are walking in purpose and not walking aimlessly. And so we talk about that a lot on the RTJ show. Whether you are a king or a queen, you have a purpose that's been placed inside of you. Some people are able to find it before they pass and transition from this earth, while others are not. They're able to just only walk aimlessly and make excuses for why they are not doing what they want to do or what they have been called to do. And so, which type of person are you? Are you someone that is making excuses still in this day and age? And are you wasting the gifts and the talents that Yah has given you? Are you sitting on the sideline with them? Or are you using them to help others and to also support those that you have been called to serve, and those that have also been called to serve you and to build with you, as I like to say? And so you have to realize that for yourself as a jewels for thought. Keep that in mind as we go throughout this year, this new season that we are in. Are you in purpose, or are you playing with the purpose that Yah has given you? And so you can definitely track with us with some of our services that we have for Smart Jewels Enterprises, which is the mothership that powers the RTJ show, and even the Smart Jewels Network that we just recently launched last season for podcasters and content creators. And so if you're interested in reaching new audiences, virtually online, and even wanting to start a travel podcast. If you're wanting to take international trips with our international travel group, to go to different countries and create content internationally, or you're wanting to host an online podcast show or even online content channels for your content to be housed at, we have services, and we also have coaches, mentors, and guides that can show you this process, and also show you how to have a remote podcast and also create content remotely. And so visit us at www.smartjewelz That's www.smartjewels with a Z enterprises.org to sign up for a free discovery session or a free discovery call with one of our representatives today, you all. And then last but not least, you already heard last season that we're going international. And so you may want to literally go and subscribe to us today at the Run the Jewelz podcast on any podcast streaming platform, as we're releasing new episodes from season 2 now all the way now to season 5. And so you can see our progress. You can see the work that we put in over the last 4 seasons to see how far we've come and also where we are going. And we are going international this year. We've already been to countries in different continents last year, but now we're officially taking the brakes off, and we're literally going to be traveling with like-minded content creators, podcasters, and even those that are wanting to serve on an international scale and to go on missions with myself and our team, and also my co-founder, to be able to go and see the world and experience different cultures, experience different nations, experience different society and societal groups internationally. Though we've already been to Central and South America, we've been to Asia, we're going to the motherland, Africa, this year. And so take a look at the link that we're in the comment section to be a part of one of our international travel groups as we go to the nations to serve and to also shine bright like the diamond jewels that we were created to be. And so I'm excited, you all. We thank you for tuning in for today's episode, and take a look at a preview of where we are headed and also why you need to be a part of this international journey with us. And so until the next time we see you on next episode, y'all take a look at where we are headed and shine bright like the bright diamond jewels that you were created to be. I'll see you all next episode. Take a look.